Heya Cryptozens, it's 10 p.m. Pacific time. My name is Nikodemus, and welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter, where we take a nightly look at the crypto, NFT, and metaverse space. And keep in mind, nothing in this show should ever be considered financial advice. It's Wednesday, December 7th, 2022, 10 p.m. Let's get to it. Because last night we left off talking about Gary Gensler, and we're back talking about him at the top of this show. Because Democratic Congressman Representative Richie Torres of New York has called for an independent investigation. He wants an investigation into the Security and Exchange Commission and their failure to prevent the collapse of FTX. And so, in a letter sent on Tuesday, Torres called on the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, to conduct a review of the Security Exchange Commission's actions leading up to FTX's collapse. This letter specifically criticizes SEC Chair Gary Gensler for claiming exclusive regulatory control over crypto exchanges while failing to regulate them effectively. Additionally, Torres questioned Gensler's assertion of authority and argued that all accountability is necessary. In the letter, Torres accused Gensler of being, quote, singularly responsible for the regulatory failures surrounding the collapse of FTX. Torres also criticized Gensler's decision to investigate celebrities like Kim Kardashian instead of focusing on crypto exchanges like FTX, because it was just this last October that the SEC fined Kardashian for promoting a cryptocurrency that the agency had previously determined was an unregistered security. Their point is, that was October. FTX fell apart in November. What was the SEC doing? Torres wrote the, quote, operating principle of the SEC must be the protection for the investing public rather than publicity for the political appointee in charge. This letter also mentioned discord within the SEC, specifically claiming that Gensler's policies have led to mutiny among his staff. Torres said, quote, Mr. Gensler's leadership have left the career staff at the SEC fundamentally demoralized to an extent rarely seen, with the SEC Inspector General reporting the highest attrition rate in a decade. Torres also questioned how Gensler's demoralization of the SEC's workforce has impacted the agency's ability to protect investors. Now, Hester Peirce is known to be a crypto-friendly member of the SEC, and she has previously criticized Gensler's approach to regulation. She said that many people have given up on the SEC. And while the SEC has not yet issued any fines or charges against FTX, the agency has been investigating the exchange for some time. Because after FTX's collapse, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission and the Department of Justice also launched investigations into the exchange. Torres mentioned a pending bipartisan Senate bill that would grant most authority over crypto regulation to the CFTC. This could potentially take regulatory authority away from the SEC. On Monday, Torres introduced two bills in the House that would immediately enact crypto exchange regulations. Now, for his part, Gensler said that the agency already has the necessary powers to enforce securities laws against crypto companies. However, he added that it would be beneficial to have more funding and broader reach beyond the U.S. borders. Gensler declined to comment specifically on FTX or Sam Bankman-Fried. He also did not directly address whether the SEC would implement tailored crypto rules in the future, but emphasized that the agency does not currently need them. He said, quote, the rules are there. Law firms know how to advise their clients to comply. Now, Chair Gensler warned crypto firms that they cannot operate outside of public policy norms. He emphasized that the agency has told such firms that they must separate their lending, trading, hedge fund, exchange, and custody functions. Now, Gensler has expanded the SEC's crypto enforcement team, but the agency has not yet taken action against a major cryptocurrency platform. Not yet. The court case over whether Ripple's XRP is a security has been seen by many as a major hurdle for the SEC, but Gensler stated that a recent court decision determining that the crypto startup library violated securities laws was a very big win for the agency's legal campaign. And we talked about that one at the time. We said it was important because it sets precedent. Now, so far, the SEC has not yet directly targeted Coinbase for listing what it considers to be unregistered securities. However, it has listed several tokens traded on the company's platform in a recent enforcement action. Speaking of enforcement actions, the Iranian government is reportedly planning to impose new punishments on women who do not wear a hijab in public. They said individuals who refuse to comply with the law after 2 warnings may have their bank accounts frozen. So this is how it works. Those found not wearing a hijab will receive an SMS message, a text message, urging them to respect the law and wear a hijab. This means entering a warning phase and potentially facing financial consequences. Now, this is not the first time a government has attempted to control citizens' access to financial instruments, such as seen in past protests and dissent. A member of the Iranian parliament has indicated that the government plans to use cameras and artificial intelligence to identify women who are not wearing a hijab in public, as part of new punishments for violating the law. It is unclear what this warning stage entails. But there has been a push to avoid using, quote, morality police to enforce compliance. This comes amid ongoing protests in Iran since September, when Mahsa Amini was arrested and then later died in suspicious circumstances for not wearing a hijab. In response, many women have set fire to their hijab or have refused to wear them. And this is why we need to get away from the central banks and their worthless tokens, because this threat to freeze bank accounts of protesters is similar to actions taken by the Canadian government earlier this year. And this plan to freeze the bank accounts of women who do not wear a hijab in public has drawn attention to the risks of transitioning to a cashless economy. Because in the past, protesters and dissidents have turned to crypto to continue accessing financial instruments after their accounts were frozen. Now, since that time, Iran has started using cryptocurrencies in international trade deals. They are also developing their own CBDC called the Crypto Real. This move by Iranian officials highlights the potential dangers of CBDCs and the transition to a cashless economy. Because here we go, CBDC Watch-Nigeria this time. The Central Bank of Nigeria has implemented new limits on cash withdrawals in an effort to force the use of digital payment options, including the e-Naira, the country's own central bank digital currency. Individuals are now limited to withdrawing around $225 per week. Now, businesses, they're limited to just over $1,100. This move aims to modernize Nigeria's financial system and reduce the use of physical cash. Now, this works out to cash withdrawals of like $45 a day, and only in denominations of 45 cents or smaller. That's like taking $50 to spend for the entire day, and it's all in nickels and dimes and quarters. Customers can still withdraw larger sums, but even then they're going to be charged processing fees of 5 to 10%. The new rules align with the central bank's cashless policy. This bank feels that it will encourage the use of internet banking, mobile apps, and other digital channels such as their CBDC. And their CBDC sure could use the help, because it was launched in October of last year, but adoption has been really slow. Only 0.5% of the population is thought to be using it. Now, this is in contrast to the estimated 20 to 50% of the Nigerians who hold or trade cryptocurrencies, despite the country's ban on crypto. The bank has introduced incentives to boost the e-Naira's popularity, such as discounts for users of motorized rickshaw. The e-Naira was the first sovereign digital currency in Africa, and as such, its progress is being closely monitored for insights into other CBDC projects. The central bank marked the e-Naira's first anniversary in October, stating that its launch had, quote, put Nigeria in the global spotlight. So now think about this, folks. CBDCs are so bad, you have to limit people's access to alternatives. They're trying to break people down by making it so difficult to use cash. Now, of course, they'll offer an alternative by letting you withdraw more of your own money, but then they're making it expensive to do so. And that's because they just don't want you to. And the Nigerians don't want it. Excellent proving ground, because Nigerians have had access to both, and they're choosing crypto, regardless of the ban, regardless of the discounts and the incentives. None of this matters because the people know. Friends don't let friends use CBDCs. Or maybe they do, if their friends are bankers. And maybe that's okay. Here's what I mean. The Bank of Spain has announced plans to start a wholesale central bank digital currency project, and they're seeking proposals from financial institutions and technology solution providers. Now, a wholesale CBDC and a retail CBDC are very different. This is different research than what the EU is doing with the digital euro. That is a retail CBDC and by definition is very bad. This one, however, is a wholesale CBDC. And what that means is that the project will simulate the movement of funds. It will also experiment with the integration of the digital currency with the settlement of financial assets. This program expects to analyze the potential advantages and disadvantages of using a wholesale CBDC. Interested parties have until the 31st of January next year to submit their proposals. Now, let's hop from Spain to Russia, because Russian miners may have been a tad optimistic lately, and that makes sense. The Russian government is talking about setting up an exchange to sell mined crypto in, which means Russians can mine crypto and sell it, and other Russians can buy it and hodl it, waiting for those gains. Not if the central bankers of Russia have their way, because the Central Russian Bank is just not a fan of cryptocurrencies. They propose to ban local miners from selling coins to people in Russia. Instead, they want Russians to only be able to sell their crypto on foreign exchanges and to non-residents. This goes against a draft bill introduced earlier this year that aimed to legalize cryptocurrency mining in Russia. The Russian Central Bank has stated that it believes cryptocurrency obtained through mining should only be sold on foreign exchanges to non-residents. They also maintain their position on the inadmissibility of digital currencies circulating within Russia. And so they proposed a new rule for miners in Russia, stating that they can only sell their self-mined crypto on foreign exchanges to non-residents. Now, this raises concerns for miners, as many foreign exchanges have banned Russians from using their platforms due to sanctions. The Bank of Russia has also previously advocated for residents to only trade on foreign platforms. Now, if this proposal is implemented, miners who want to sell their crypto within Russia must go through an authorized organization. This news follows the Russian Ministry of Finance's opposition to the Russian bank's proposal for strict licensing of crypto mining operations in Russia. Russia's deputy finance minister said that the central bank has developed a plan to only allow mining through authorized organizations. There's that phrase again. Now, this would bring, quote, total licensing to crypto mining in Russia, which he's against. But that explains why they would only allow miners to sell to authorized organizations. Now, earlier this year, a draft bill on cryptocurrency mining was introduced to the lower house of parliament in Russia. However, this bill did not include a ban on the sale of mined crypto to residents, and it also did not allow miners to sell their coins anywhere other than on foreign exchanges or through a state-backed platform. Now, the state news about the Russian central bank's stance on crypto regulation continues the long-standing disagreement between the bank and the Ministry of Finance. Despite the lack of clear crypto framework in Russia, local crypto adoption has been growing. Now, this bill on crypto mining, as well as the government's initiative to legalize crypto for cross-border payments for imports, are highly anticipated legal initiatives in the country. It is expected that the related amendments will be adopted by February of next year. Last June, Japan passed legislation on stablecoins. It looks like they intend to expand on the legislation by restricting algorithm-based stablecoins. It looks like they intend to expand on the legislation by restricting algorithm-based stablecoins. This recommendation comes from the Financial Service Agency, or FSA. It was repeated by the country's Vice Minister for International Affairs, Tomoko Amaya. Now, Amaya discussed Japan's regulatory framework for crypto assets at a roundtable hosted by the Official Monetary and Financial Institutions Forum. Now, they focused on financial stability and user protection. The speech was originally given in November, but the FSA just now published the full document today. Amaya has recommended against algorithmic stablecoins and argued that redemption rights should be strengthened. Now, this is probably going to be taken into consideration by lawmakers in the future. The current stablecoin regulation does not cover algo stablecoins. Zodia Custody is a London-based crypto custodian. They're launching a new service called Interchange. Interchange is designed to protect client assets from exchange insolvency. The service will allow clients to keep assets with Zodia Custody and mirror those holdings on an exchange, with sister custody Zodia Markets using the service. Maxime de Guibon is their CEO, and he said the difficulties that investors have been facing in the last year have highlighted the importance of asset safety, segregation between custody and trading, and effective counterparty risk management. Zodia Custody is a subsidiary of UK investment bank Standard Chartered and backed by Northern Trust. SC Ventures, Standard Chartered's Innovation and Tunnels partnered with Northern Trust to develop Zodia in December of 2020. Zodia Custody, established last year, is registered with the FCA as a crypto asset business. Northern Trust, based in Chicago, had a $12.8 trillion in assets under custody as of September of 2022, according to its website. Brian Quintes has been appointed as head of policy at A16Z. He joined the investment group last year as an advisor. His new role comes as U.S. lawmakers prepare to regulate the crypto industry. Now, the CFTC is among the agencies seeking more power to police the sector. A16C said that he had been instrumental in helping the firm navigate the policy landscape in Washington. The firm added that more regulation is needed in certain areas of crypto and Web3, but the shape of future legislation is still to be determined. And that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank you, my listeners, because when you stop listening, I will stop talking. We'll see you tomorrow night.